Hi guys, welcome back to our Facebook live session of the ageproperty.com Virtual Property Expo 2017. Today we speak to Johnson Uy, who is the co-founder and CEO of Epic Homes, an initiative that helps to build homes for the indigenous people or Orang Asli of Malaysia. So Johnson, thanks for joining us today. Could you please tell us a bit more about Epic Homes? When and how did the idea came about?
Right. Thanks so much for having me. So Epic Homes started really as a project. It was called Project Epic back then in 2010. It was started with the objective of providing a platform for people to serve and perhaps at the same time be able to give people hope that they're not alone in caring for our community. We realized that not having a safe home was very detrimental as opposed to the way people were living on a day-to-day basis. And to be honest, in the beginning, we were looking at the skill sets that we have. And so we were ordinary city folk, really very idealistic, very curious, but we realized that we were just focusing on the problem, the house itself, but we weren't looking at the most important thing, which was the people that lived in the house. And so it was from really trying to understand what exactly were they facing as a people, where we looked at them and say, we need to find out, okay, what exactly are they facing? But we realized that they didn't really trust us, they didn't really understand them. And so we needed to first build those relationships with them. And that's kind of how Epic Homes came about.
But how does the whole process work? I mean, how do you identify a suitable family, the family that needs the home? How do you work through that?
Honestly, it happens quite organically. We're not the kind of initiative or movement where we're just sweep into an unknown community and say, hey guys, free houses. I don't think that's how it should be done. Because at the end of the day, it's not about dispensing houses, but it's really about building those bridges or those relationships. And so the idea before we start building homes is to gather as many people as possible and be able to articulate to them or to at least get to know them. So normally we look at structural integrity, spatial conduciveness. And the third one would be prioritization of families with children to older folk. So these will be laid out for the community, and then they would then either subtract or add their own criteria to it. But what we're looking to achieve is consensus.
Yes.
Where everyone is transparent, they're clear, and they're empowered in the process. So that sets the tone as to how we want to work with them. So following establishing those criteria, we would then do a village-wide survey, and then we would get a list of different families. Oh, that's right. The last criteria would be the Pay It Forward program, where they will be building 3 homes in return for their 1 home. So those are the normal criteria. So following the survey, we'll then have a scoring method, and we'll generate a priority list. So this is then presented to the community again, and they can then sign off on it.
How long do you take to plan the whole process before you actually, okay, here's a green light, let's start building a home?
Realistically, we give ourselves 1 to 3 months. Sometimes the action is really when the house gets put up. That's the sexy part of the whole thing. But this process is very important. The houses really is at the end of the day a vehicle to build bridges between and create relationships between different groups of people. So going through this exercise, making sure it's done properly, would then set the tone. So that little bit of time would, I think, result in a lot more impact in the long run.
Okay. I think this is everyone's questions. How safe are the houses? Are they really durable?
Yes, they are. I think in the beginning, to be frank with you, we weren't sure, right? We worked with professionals. The first prototype that we built was done with a developer, where his contractors, architects and engineers were involved in the process of designing it. But of course, building a house in 3 days, although we had professional help, that was still something that is quite radical. So we needed to make sure that it could stand. And so we kept the designs as simple as possible. So over time, we've worked with, I think, more than 50 designers from various backgrounds, from industrial designers to architects to engineers to interior designers, contributing at different facets of home itself, and we ensured that we weren't scaling too quickly, because we needed to really test out the house and see, okay, what are the areas that didn't work, what are the areas that worked. So the ones that didn't work, we then had to go back and fix it or change, upgrade it to a new design. So there's a lot of work, I think, that went into it. That is number one priority. If it's not durable, then it does not serve the purpose. Yeah. We might as well call it epic relationships while building homes. And so I believe that based on our engineers' calculations, we're looking at about a good up to 30 years with minimal maintenance.
That's good to know. So up to today, how many houses that Epic Homes have built?
So we've now built just over 100. And then since then, I think we're at 105 now. In the beginning, we focused on one village. And then based on how it organically grew, people within the village will introduce us to another village, and then or other NGOs or government agencies will reach out to us in another village, and then we'll follow them over there, greenlight the project, and then activate neighboring volunteers around the area to then take care of their villages. Yeah, so far we're in 5 different states in about 10 different villages. I think using this method as well, we've also done some work in Cambodia as well.
Oh, okay. But is there any challenges in recruiting volunteers to help you build homes? Like, will there be, oh, this is too tough, that kind of thing?
I think that's the general impression that we get. You mean you want girls to come as well? And then people are surprised that they do turn up. I suppose, for us, from the start, we've believed that people are naturally inclined to want to make a difference. I think it's really just our responsibility to ensure that we're articulating the vision as clearly as possible, what exactly the efforts are translating to. And so since then, we've worked with over 5,000 volunteers who have come through our doors, who have gone through training, so they're trained builders, and it's come to build homes. They come from 55 different countries. They range from 16 to 76 years old.
Wow, okay.
I think it's about 60% 60% female, 40% male.
Okay.
I think, just to put it out there, we've had couples meet at builds and they've got married now.
Well, it seems like Epic Homes, hit many birds with just one
correct.
stone.
Building relationships, right? That's the goal of Epic Homes.
But on a more serious note, where do you get your funding to sustain all these projects?
I think the common place would be from CSR funds, more philanthropic sources. At least that was what we started with. But quickly we realized that the cost of a house is pretty high. I mean, yes, we could easily save 5,000 ringgit per house. And so I think we were looking at about 45,000 ringgit on average for a house. Something like 400 to 600 square feet. What do we have in hand? And realize that through Epic Homes, we're not just building homes, but we're bringing total strangers to come together to put up these homes. And so we said, hey, this makes a very interesting team building exercise. I wonder if people would pay us for it. And that's also because we also realized that we needed a way to sustain ourselves.
Right.
Up to that point, we had no funding for operations or administration. So it's totally pro bono, and we said if we want to do it properly, people need to do this full time. So we started to reach out to companies who didn't have the CSR funds but had the HR funds, and said, would you like to do this as a team building activity? And so that kind of spawned our social business model. We didn't even know about that terminology up till 2013 when we started this. We were like, yo, that's a social business. Like, oh, really? Are we? And so that kind of allowed us to get majority of our funding, which comes from a lot of team building departments or HR departments from companies. In fact, most companies do it as team building. But besides that, I think a small portion of funding, which we're looking to increase, comes from crowdfunding. So we've had families, we've had students, we had groups of friends that has started campaigns on our site, and then they make it a family activity or friends activity. And we've had some funding from the government as well, to Kathmandu.
How do we reach out to join the program?
So they can go to our website, epichome.org, to get more information and sign up over there. Or they can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/epicharmy. Basically, that's where they'll get all the information about the upcoming builds. But meanwhile, to get ready for a build, we suggest that you take part in our Builder Basics workshops. So that's a very quick 5-hour workshop where we teach you the basics of construction and using different power tools and site safety protocol. But if you would like to speed up the process, then you can organize a crowdfunding campaign and make a build happen for yourself, and then you can choose whoever you want for the build itself.
But moving forward, what are in the pipeline for Epic Homes? Will you guys be expanding to, not just provide homes, but also basic amenities like water and electricity to this Orang Asli?
That's a good question. And I think because it's also very, very important. So yes, water, food production, energy, even internet connectivity as well.
Yeah.
I think it's becoming a
necessity.
A necessity, it's becoming a basic need. And so I think what we've established is an imagination, or we've captured an imagination that ordinary people can get involved in developing their community. But that wouldn't be with Epic Homes. I think as Epic Homes, we like to focus on providing homes. But instead, we recently started another social enterprise called Epic Communities that looks at expanding on these areas through partnerships with other domain experts, that these people can then self-initiate, come back and do it together with the locals. Or the locals themselves can initiate it through our training programs. We're also looking for companies who are looking to pledge. So perhaps for the next 3 years, pledge a certain percentage of their profits to our movement. And we are looking forward to working with as many people as possible to make this happen.
So Johnson, thanks for joining us today and sharing your wonderful journey with us on Epic Homes.
Thank you.
So guys, that's a wrap. Thanks for watching theageproperty.com. Today we spoke to Johnson Uy, who is the co-founder and CEO of Epic Homes. Stay tuned to this platform as we speak to various personalities for our Virtual Property Expo 2017. Thank you.